Big Sills. And we are here at the most infamous day in pro football, and that is Cutdown Day. I've had the fortune of making it, and I've also had the fortune of kind of making it, and then the fortune of not making it. And these are the toughest days in organizations because you invest a lot in player development. Okay, you do. And you invest a lot in friendship. You invest a lot in culture. 90 guys creating a culture in your building is one of the most important things that you could possibly have. And today it gets fractured again. And look, it's about building the best team possible and getting the best 53 and then the best 12 practice squad guys. I get it. It's a business. I totally understand that. Okay. But it is one of the most difficult days. I'll give you some stories on my cuts and what it was like here in a second here. But I do want to throw this out at you. We'll keep you abreast of what's going on. Trey Sermon, obviously, as the guys were saying, has been released. I didn't think that he would make the ball club. Aaron Sipos. These are the notable names, really, that have been let loose from the football team. Now they'll be out in the market looking for a punter. Matt Ariz's name, obviously, we're going to hit on that here in a second. I would say this, 4 o'clock, I think it is Eastern time, is when it has to be turned into the league offices, your 53-man roster. I would say this, okay? The Eagles have done a great job this offseason. They've done a great job. Kudos to you guys. You really did a great job, okay? I mean, you see a lot of teams fumbling the ball here as we're getting ready for the start of the season next week. And you sit there and you go like this. I mean, just take some cues from what's going on in Philadelphia and how they're handling themselves, how they have handled themselves. I'll tell you what, man, I think they're prepared. I can't wait to see it. I don't know what to expect from it. We're going to have, hey, by the way, today is Dallas and Philadelphia Day. We are doing a lot of Cowboys and Eagles today. And we're going to ping pong it back and forth. It's Eagles and Cowboys today. Before I do that, I would like to say this to you about your backup position with the Philadelphia Eagles. You think Marcus Mariota has embraced being a backup? You think he's embraced the role while he's struggling? I think that's what the Eagles see in this. He's coming to terms with being a backup. He probably looks around the league and looks at Arizona and goes, I could start there. He probably looks in Carolina, even though they got a first-round pick, hey, I could have battled there a little bit. I don't personally think that he's come to grips with the fact that he's a backup. And that's a big deal. Especially when you've been a frontline guy your entire career, or at least trying to be a frontline guy. Okay? I don't know if he's embraced that role. And I think that's what the Eagles are walking and working through here. There's not a better option out there. There is not a better option for a backup quarterback than Marcus Mariota. I wouldn't want to have any other backup quarterback other than Marcus Mariota backing up Jalen Hurts. Okay, there's not a better guy. Look, Bridgewater could have been someone. Mariota's okay. Mariota's okay. Hey, look, if Jalen Hurts goes down, your season's in peril. Anyway, you'd be lucky to be a wild card team. Even with all that great talent, 500, 10 wins could possibly get you in. You could, hey, just to show you how the Eagles have a better team than Kansas City, if Mahomes goes down in Kansas City, they win 5 games. If Jalen Hurts goes down, they could win 9 games. because they've got a ton of talent around everybody. That is not just driven by Hurts. Kansas City, Buffalo, those two teams are driven by the quarterbacks. Okay? They're driven. If Buffalo doesn't have Josh Allen, they win 6 games. 6 if they're lucky. 6 if they're lucky. All right. Before I move on to the topics here. Oh, real quick. Where's this Joe Burrow deal? I want to show you something on what the Philadelphia Eagles did and what the Cincinnati Bengals aren't doing. How does Jalen Hurts get his deal done so fast with no noise? And Cincinnati's really going to go into the start of the season not having put a contract together for Joe Burrow? Man, the more and more that thing goes on like that, the more and more there's not a chance in hell I think Joe Burrow retires as Cincinnati Bengal. I mean, what is that about? You haven't brought up or you haven't signed that guy to a contract yet? Typical Mike Brown. What are you doing, dude? Holy cow. Jalen gets the deal done. No noise, no nothing. Happy with his contract. Moving on. Even the stupid Chargers got the deal done with Justin Herbert. Man, oh man. Zipper wallet Mike Brown hard at work again. That's really wild. We got a week to the start of the season, and you don't have that contract done with that guy? Man, good to be Jalen Hurts. Good to be Jalen Hurts. Unbelievable. All right. So the cutting of Trey Sermon. Let me ask you this. You feel comfortable with Rashad Penny in your backfield instead of Trey Sermon? Do you feel comfortable with Rashad Penny over Trey Sermon? You feel comfortable with that? Joey says yes. B-Walk says no. Happy. More than comfortable. Okay. Here's the guy you're keeping on your team. Rushing attempts, first year, 85. Second year, 65. Third year, 2020, 11. 2021, 119. 2022, 57. In 5 years, he's carried the ball 337 times. Derrick Henry's done that in 1 year. He averages 67 carries a year. I'll ask you again, do you really feel comfortable with Rashad Penny? And no disrespect, Tone. I heard the guy that was on prior to me coming on the air, and he really likes Rashad Penny. You like the 67 carries a year at 5 years is what he's averaged per year? You really like that? And you think you're comfortable with that running back in your backfield? He's averaged 67 carries over 5 years per year. 67 carries is like 3 games. First 3 years in the league, he hasn't started it down. The last 2, he started 11. You really feel comfortable with Rashad Penny in your backfield with a guy who has averaged 67 carries a year in 5 years in his NFL career? I'm not sold on Penny in the slightest. He has to, dude, I mean, it's health, not talent. Forte. That's part of roster building, though. Sometimes you have to take the more reliable guy over the more talented guy. What's the sense of having talent if you can't use it? That's a roster spot that's being wasted. They're gambling with that. And get this. This is who he is. That's a gamble roster spot. Trey Sermon this is a great example of how you build a roster. So you're looking at the better talent who can't stay healthy, obviously. Averages only 67 carries a year. But still, Trey Sermon's not as talented. Yeah, but I can count on him. This is a prime example of talent sometimes not being the answer. Reliability and durability have to also be part of the equation when you're building a roster, especially the back end of the roster. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, hey, keep Quez Watkins over A.J. Brown because Quez is more durable. That's not what I'm saying. You blow off That's the top end of the roster. This is the bottom end of the roster. This is the bottom end of it. This is not the top end of the roster. You're wasting an important roster spot by having Rashad Penny on your team. He doesn't deserve to be on the team. And by the way, he'll be a non-factor. Rashad Penny has never been a factor in his NFL career. Why all of a sudden are you going to believe he's going to change in Philly? They got a good O-line. That's a poor move. Sills, you're saying keep Trey Sermon over a guy who doesn't play much? Yeah. And he's cheap. And the players like him. What's Rashad Penny done this day on that team? Oh, I got it. He was drafted 5 years ago in the first round. That shit sailed. That thing is sailed. Sidney goes like I believed in Reddick. Reddick had put up 2 years in a row of double-digit sacks. This is a health issue and a production issue. He has no production in the NFL. And you keep throwing me that dumbass 6 yards a carry. What's the point of the 6 yards a carry when he only lasts 2 games? What's the point? Not a good move. As a matter of fact, if someone's cut that's better, I would blow out Penny. Doesn't deserve to be on the Eagle roster. He just doesn't. And by the way, this is not an opinion. This is who he is. They must be high comparing Penny to Reddick. Reddick never had health issues. Penny can't stay on the field. Better wake up. It's a roster F-up. Okay? I get why they didn't play him much. They had that 120 or 10-yard carry, and then they sat him because they're going to try to see how far they can go with him. Man, that's not a plan. Especially with a position that's needed to try to protect the quarterback. Okay? Just doesn't make sense. Not a good move. Okay? Cutting Aaron Sipos. Okay. So they're going to cut him. I wouldn't be shocked if they had the conversation with him and said, we're going to take a look around. And they're trying to save some money here maybe. And they're taking a look around and they're going to see what they have. And they're going to just bring a dude in. This shows me the lack of commitment to special teams. You cut your special teams punter on cutdown day? Why didn't you do that in February? They have no urgency at all in their special teams. It'll cost you again. Mark my words. In a game you need it, it'll cost you. Mark the tape, Tone. It'll cost you. Again. You put no value in special teams. It's one of the poorest areas of the Philadelphia Eagles is that they put no emphasis on special teams. Your kicker's good. Your kicker's a good kicker. Tygo Sipos is horrible. Well, why didn't you address that in February or March? I mean, you had a play in the Super Bowl that cost you. Didn't you learn anything from that? Plus, last year, your shitty punt coverage teams. Man, a roster spot being handed out and not addressing your special teams correctly. They just went like this. Oh, it's cut down day. Let's cut our punter. Do you understand that's a field position changing position? That with one play, you change or you don't change field position, especially on a football team that's got a defense that's not going to be ready in week one. Your defense will not be ready in week one. It's going to take some maturing before it gets up to snuff. And so you blow the guy out that determines field position for the opposing unit once they get the ball. You better hope you don't sign a guy who's a shank monster against New England. That's a setup for failure against New England. They're going to know you're bringing a new punter in. They're going to bring pressure. And you have a shitty punt team. There's a place where New England will be better than you on opening day. They'll be better than you on opening day. They always are one of the top special teams units. You'll lose that battle. The key is, I hope you don't have it cost you the game. Okay? Howie Vision when it comes to special teams is turd vision. He's not very good. They haven't addressed a shitty punt team, kickoff coverage team, kickoff receiving team in 2 years. That's because they don't spend money on, you know why you spend money on the linebacker positions and safety positions? I'm not talking about spending a boatload of money. But you know why? Because most of your guys go on special teams from those units. You don't put a 295 or 300-pound D lineman on your kickoff team. You put linebackers and safeties and corners there. O'Neal was cut by Green Bay, 46% inside the 20. Way better than Sippos. Bear. That's what they're doing now. They're looking for a dude that was fired. They're going to go try to find a dude that was fired. Okay? Hey, so you're going to have a fired punter kicking for you. Okay? It's another gamble. Okay? That's another gamble. The Matarizza stuff. Hey, look, Matarizza, someone said he has a civil lawsuit against him. Yeah, and guess what? He's suing her, too. And do you know how much she's suing civilly for? Tone, everyone, do you guys know how much they're suing Matarizza for? Civilly? 50 grand. 50 grand. This ain't some $5 million civil lawsuit. This is over court cost. So when someone goes like this, well, there's a civil suit pending against them. Well, if you do a little bit more work, it's 50 grand. Did they cut Morrow? Most of you guys were trying to tell me how great Morrow was. He was terrible. The only reason that he was on that team was because he was a veteran guy and he had 100 tackles on the worst tackling team and the worst run defensive football team in the NFL last year. He's not a good player. He's not a good player. Nicholas Morrow's been cut. So that means Ellis is playing and making the team. It's Ellis and Zach Cunningham on that Sam side. Okay? No, on the Will side. And the Mike is going to be Nakobe. Whew. Good luck. Can't wait to see this. Holy cow. Okay. Hey, by the way, I'll say this to you about Zach Cunningham. I said it yesterday and I'll say it again. I didn't know what Kaiser White would do. And Kaiser went on to have a really good year. So I think Cunningham's actually looked pretty good. I think he's looked good. I was like this. He runs to the ball. Well, he does a really great job in run fits. I mean, he gets up in there, takes on them guards, he gets off them. He's a good player. Has to be injuries and why Tennessee dumped him. Has to be. Because he's a good football player. Okay? This man Sills drives me nuts what did I say that's not true? What have I said so far that's not true? You guys want me to paint a different picture for Penny for you so you make you feel yourself better? Is that what you want? I just told you who that kid was. I told you that your special teams blows. And now you're going to go hire a fired punter. What's wrong with what I said? Oh, wait, you don't like the delivery? That means you don't like direct people. That's okay, Micah. That's okay. Because in the NFL, when players are getting cut today, you can't have it any more direct when you're being cut. So when I tell you something and I talk to you like a personnel person or a general manager or a head coach tells you when you're released. There ain't no, hey, I hope your life is really great and I love you and you're this or that. That's not how it goes, bro. Today's a very real day. And you should take it that way when I say these things to you. It's a real day. It's a real day. Jimmy Johnson called me in his office. I had blown my calf out. You want to hear one of the dumbest things I ever did? Kevin O'Neill, the trainer of the team, goes, go down in the Oiler game. What do you mean? No, in the Denver game. It was a preseason. I started it. They want to keep you. I wouldn't do it. They wanted to hide me on the IR. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I'd have been on the Dallas Cowboys. I was on the previous year with Coach Landry from November on. But I wouldn't take the injury, and I wouldn't take, because if you start the season on IR, you don't play that year. And I couldn't do it. I walk into Jimmy Johnson's office. By the way, I didn't talk to him for 10 years. You know how me and him made up? He called my show when I was in Tampa and apologized on the air. It's a fact. He called me from his boat. And he called me. He goes, you know what I think of you? You know how much I love you. You blew your calf out. We wanted you to take the dive. You didn't do it. Here's $75,000. I went, you're cutting me. I can't believe this. He goes, I'm here to win. And right now, your calf, and you can't win. I walked out the damn door. I saw Butch Davis 2 days later. Me and my girlfriend, now my wife. She looks me in the face. That's Butch. Butch goes, your big mouth got you off this team, and your shit decision not to go down cost you. This is on you, not us. My friends to this day, you see Dave and you know Butch and Jimmy comes on all the time. They gave me an opportunity. I flubbed that up. Okay? When I got cut by the Lions, Ron Hughes, Kevin Colbert, Lamar Leachman all said, we want you. Please go in and talk to Wayne. Wayne goes, I'm sticking with Lawrence Pete. Lawrence Pete got hurt. They kept me for 2 days. 3 games. Then they released me. They didn't want me cut. Ron Hughes knocks on my door and goes like this, don't punch me in the face. Kevin Colbert was with him, so was Rick Spielman. I said, why would you cut me? You started me every preseason. I started all 5 preseason games. Lamar's like, there's no reason to cut this guy. And years later, I told you the story. We're sitting at the Tampa Stadium, and Wayne Fonts looks over at my wife, and I'm going to swear, Aunt Betty, it says one of the biggest poor decisions I made was cutting Dan. He got up 2 seconds later. My wife goes, fuck that guy. I had the president of the Atlanta Falcons, Rich McKay, sitting next to me. He goes, did she just say fuck you? I go, yeah, she just said that. This is a real day for players. This is back in the day, Cody, 5. Hey, Cody, 5 preseason games and 3 months of two-a-days was a little bit different. So, guys, today's a real day for players, families, careers. I feel for a lot of these guys. I totally do. Okay? 2-a-days, 3 months of 2-a-days. Yeah. Okay? We know it's a real day for guys. We don't agree with you on the running back theme. What running back theme? Theme? Super Ghost theme? He's averaged 67 carries over his 5-year career. What theme is that? That he never finishes a season and that he's hurt? That's not a theme. That's who he is. Not a theme. Wife's a keeper. That's why I've been with her 33 years. That's not a theme. You guys want to hear shit that's not true. I am not going to lie to you. That's not happening. 85 carries in year 1. 65 carries year 2 and 19. 11 carries in 2020. 119 in 2021 and 57 last year. What theme are you talking about? What theme is that? It's not a theme. It's a thing. You passed out a roster spot for a guy who won't be here. Mark his words. Not mine. His. Jesus, criminy. You point out who a player is, and you refuse to believe it, even though it's in front of you. That's denial, my friend, and that's not a river in Egypt. Oh, man. I think you need a back. And I think if there's a decent one that's blown out today, I think you should do the same thing that you're going to do with your punter. Go hire a guy that just was fired. Think about how many guys that you're looking at right now who were fired. Okay? That he's going to bring onto that roster. I wouldn't doubt it if we see a safety land. I mean, get this. So am I right? Howie signed a guy who's under suspension for the 2023 season, the Colts guy, for next year? Already writing on the wall, Slay will not be here. Already. This is the last year of Darius Slay as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. You can mark the tape on that one as well. Now, I'll say this to you. And I will do this with Howie, and I'll give him credit. He is really good at – I think that Howie Roseman is really great at pro personnel. I don't think he's spectacular at college personnel. I think he's really great at pro personnel. I do. He's a pro personnel guy. I think he's had more success since I've watched him at pro personnel decisions. Trading for AJ, getting Reddick, getting Gardner Johnson. These other guys, like his draft choices the last 2 years, we'll see. I think Carter is special. I do. I think the other guys that he's drafted, the kid Sidney Brown, we'll see. I like him a lot. Cam looks good. The rest of them, we'll find out if Nolan Smith can stay healthy. Okay, we'll find out. We will find out real quick. I told you each and every single day we're going to start taking a look at the Patriots. We're going to keep you updated. JM goes 43 attempts for Sermon. Yeah, at least he's cheap though. And he's reliable. Hey, how about this? So somebody said that Gainwell's a good back. How many carries has Gainwell had in his career? To call him a great back, let me see that. Let me take a look and to find out if Gainwell is a good back or not. Kenneth Gainwell stats. Let's take a look at his carries in his career, brief career. 68 and 53. You want to hear something crazy? This guy's got more carries in the last 2 years than what? That's 276. No. Gainwell has 120 carries. And I'm hearing people on our network tell me that Kenneth Gainwell's a good back. How could you tell if this guy's a good back with 120 carries? Jesus criminy, man. A lot of wishful thinking. Ton of wishful thinking. I want to throw this at you here about the New England Patriots for week 1. Do people think that the New England Patriots have talent on that team? How many people think the Patriots don't have talent and that this is going to be a walkthrough? Week 1 of the NFL. 33-17, Maniac says. Let's take a look at this. Mac Jones a year ago. Year before that, he was a Pro Bowler like your guy Jalen Hurts. 422 attempts, 288, 3,000 yards passing. Imagine that. This guy had a shitty year last year, and he was 700 yards shy of what Jalen did. Had 14 touchdowns. 9 shy of what Jalen did. 11 interceptions, and he's a bad quarterback. He had 5 more picks than Jalen Hurts. And he's a bad quarterback. You know why he's a bad quarterback? Because people are comparing him to Brady. If you're comparing him to Drew Bledsoe or a shit like Matt Castle or other guys, we're not having a conversation that he sucks. You're going to say he's a solid starter. But because everybody is still looking at it like, well, you're comparing him to Tom Brady. I'm not suggesting to you he's a frontline superstar. He does have a Pro Bowl to his name. And in his first year, he looked good with a decent coordinator. I mean, he's not horrible. This kid Stevenson, 210 carries, 1,040, 5 yards a carry, 5 touchdowns. So this guy gets 5 yards a clip against a defense that the Eagles have that has a problem stopping the run. Well, there's some kryptonite. And this kid had 70 catches. Boy, you hope DeAndre Swift has this type of year, don't you? You hope aren't you hoping that DeAndre Swift, don't tell me you think DeAndre Swift's better than this guy. He's got to show us, doesn't he? See, people in Philly will go, Swift's better. No, he's not. He has done it. This guy's done it. So you're going to tell me that you think DeAndre Swift is a better player than Ramondre Stevenson? You really think that? Again, there's no debating that. with a guy who's done it versus a guy who's never done it. Mac Jones is garbage. Okay. I've seen Daniel Jones beat the Eagles in the last 2 years. I've seen Tyler Heineke beat the Eagles in the last 2 years. He's better than those guys. Matthew Judon, 60 tackles, 15 and a half sacks last year. How many Reddick have in the regular season? 16? So you think your guy Reddick's better than Judon? Interesting. Judon's a pretty good ball player. So do you really believe, you think that Hassan Reddick is a better player than Matthew Judon? I probably think so. It's close, but I'd probably give it to Reddick. You know why? First and third down sacks, first and calls fumbles. That's a playmaker. Plus the play he had in the NFC title game. I've seen him at the back end of last season have too many game-changing plays. But this kid Judon can play. He can play. I don't know how to say his name, Tone. This guy, U-C-H-E. Chi is his name, I think. Uchi. 11 and a half. This kid Wise, defensive end, 7 and a half. I think the Patriots were fourth in sacks last year. They get after people. That's going to be an interesting matchup because you know why? Kansas City got home. And Kansas City doesn't have a better defense than New England. Okay? Albeit, I thought the Eagle offense did a nice job until it got to the fourth quarter. Kansas City doesn't have a better defense than New England. Sills, if we keep making Eagle fans look at reality, you're going to hurt their feelings. Yeah, the one thing about the Eagle fans, though, once they get their feelings hurt and they get a little butt hurt, they understand the reality of it. And then they come to grips with the reality of the truth. It's all good. Kayvon Wallace waved. Was a dude. He wasn't all that hot. Okay? Everybody in here was trying to tell me about Nicholas Morrow. Really? That was the Bears' downgrade. Zach Cunningham, once he was signed, it was the end of Morrow. And when they didn't dress him, it was completely the end of Morrow. Completely the end of it. Okay? Eagle guy goes, Sills, you end up being more wrong. What, like me saying that you'd make it to the Super Bowl? Like that one? Or Hurts wouldn't play every game? Or Hurts wouldn't be a guy throw for 4,000 yards? Stop dropping Hassan Reddick in coverage. He looks dumb. Then they did. Then they wound him up. The reason he took off in the second half of the year, they stopped that idiotic dropping him in coverage. He can't cover tight ends or backs. He's terrible at it. He's terrible at that. Terrible. As a matter of fact, almost every single person outside your corners were shitty in coverage. It's official. Kayvon Wallace has been waived. At safety room now has Reed Blankenship, Terrell Edmonds. Those will be your starters, Sidney Brown and Justin Evans. That's your safeties. I'll say this to you. A lot of question marks. But I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged about the room. I'm encouraged about the safety room. Okay. How about this? I'm way more encouraged about the safety room than I am the linebacker. The linebacker room is the weakest. Here's your weakest rooms: linebacker, running back, safety. Those are your three areas. And by the way, there's no coincidence that those three areas are all economic areas. Follow the money. Okay? Got spare parts, running backs, outside of Swift. You got hired guns and rookies and safeties. You got a completely inexperienced Mike. And you got a guy off the scrap heap in Zach Cunningham to start on your defense. Okay? Your running back room's not very good. I don't care what anybody says. Best pass catching, really? Who's a pass catching guy outside of Swift on that team? That's not what Philly does. All of a sudden, they're going to be one of the best pass catching backfields when they've never done that in the Hurts era. That is crazy conversation. The guy Pacheco is a pass-catching back. Philly hasn't had a pass-catching back since Miles Sanders' rookie year. Okay? Boston Scott. If these guys were so good, why didn't they implement the passing last year? What, Jalen couldn't do it? Is that what you're... Either Jalen couldn't do it, or the Eagles didn't have confidence in Gainwell and Scott to throw the screen passes. Where was the screen game? If these guys are so good in 2023, where was it in 22? You might have even helped out your wide receivers a lot more if you didn't throw the ball 67% of the time to three dudes. Why didn't you do it a year ago? Is it Hurts couldn't do it? Okay. I buy into that Jalen couldn't do that. Hard to run an RPO and a screen game at the same time. That's not what you do. Okay? Now, do I think Jalen is implementing the screen? I do think they've worked that in there. Remember I said yesterday, I think they're redefining the role. That's why a guy like Sanders doesn't fit. And Swift is a better back. I completely agree with that. Okay? I completely agree with that. They're redefining it to open up the passing routes. By the way, if Swift catches 40 or 50 footballs, what a grand slam that is for Jalen. What a grand slam that is for the. If that kid catches 45 footballs, I'm talking Swift, Devontae Smith might have 117 catches. You had no screen game. You had no screen game. Now, get this, Jalen's 450 passes. Now you're talking about 550 passes. Now you're upping those numbers. Now you're upping the offense a little more. You're elevating the offense. It's still archaic when it comes to passing. And you go, well, we had two 1,000-yard receivers. Yeah, you had two 1,000-yard receivers. You know, actually, it's the first time I've ever seen two 1,000-yard receivers, and the quarterback couldn't throw for 3,800 yards. I mean, like, I've never seen that. I've never seen that. Okay? Now, you have productive yards, and then you have non-productive yards. You can go to Minnesota to look at non-productive yards. So, look, Swift is going to bring more to the offense. I completely agree with that. But when you're talking to me about, like, how about this? So Rashad Penny, one last thing on Penny. You can't even play Penny on special teams because you're afraid he's going to get hurt. He'd be a gold mine on special teams, but you can't play him there because he gets banged up. So you're not going to use a guy in special teams who's a third-team back because you're afraid he's going to get hurt, and you may need him in your offense, so you're going to put lesser players on your special teams. New England wins that. You go into the New England game with lesser of a team because of the decisions of the Eagles and special teams. There's three facets of a football team: offense, defense, special teams. And New England won one of them already. New England's defense might be right there with you. So your offense is going to have to carry the mail on week one. All right. I want to ask you something here. I told you we were going to do something today. I'll tell you this. I'm going to make a comment here about Dak Prescott. I think Dak Prescott's getting shit all over. And you know what? You guys may think that your guy gets shit on. I've never seen a quarterback in my life shit on by his own football team, by the media, by other people. And by the way, has done a fabulous job at being the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I think the owner of that football team holds him back. And the best thing, like I said yesterday, would be for him to get the hell out of there so he can go win a Super Bowl. He's never going to win a Super Bowl there. It's too chaotic. Dak Prescott wins a Super Bowl in Philly. Jalen Hurts doesn't win a Super Bowl in Dallas. I don't know if Mahomes wins in Dallas. I don't know if Mahomes wins there. Okay? Really, pick a quarterback. Who do you think could go play for Jerry Jones right now and win a Super Bowl? Mahomes? Maybe. Who else? No one. Think about that. Nobody in the league that's one of the elite arms in the league could play in Dallas. Doesn't that tell you all you need to know? Jalen Hurts ain't winning a Super Bowl in Dallas. He's not. Mahomes isn't. Okay? Yeah, good one on that name. Broncos traded tight end Albert Okenegbaum and a 2025 seventh-round pick to the Eagles for a 2025 sixth-round pick per Adam Schefter. They don't feel comfortable with the depth at tight end. We said that the other day. Really didn't have anybody at tight end. Okay? You strengthen your tight end. That helps special teams too. That guy's good in the run game. Okay? That guy's good in the run game. Okay? Mark goes, chill, Sills, Howie ain't done. Okay? I'm not. Listen, if I'm coming off upset, it's not upset. I'm pointing out where you are you're so close. Hey, maybe it's this, Tone. Maybe it's this. You're so close. You're not going to get many more opportunities. It doesn't happen. Ask your 2018 team. You guys had probably pretty much the same optimism going into 18. And that thing fell apart. This thing could easily unravel with a few critical injuries. You're close. But that's the thing about the NFL. You could be so close, and then all of a sudden, 2 years later, you're a 4-win team. Okay? Dude, right now, you're looking at the smallest little things on your team that could determine a win in the Super Bowl. And it did. Don't you get it? Hey, I would have a different attitude if you guys were looking for 15 or 20 players to build your team. This is about one guy, two guys. This is about how many O linemen you keep, how many D linemen you keep. All those will be critical decisions and how close you get this time. Eagle fans need to realize the standard that's right. I'm talking about a standard here. You're talking about being common. When you're as close as the Eagles are, best believe more eyes will be on the team. We're hard on teams because you have a shot to win it all. It's totally what it is. That should be the banner. Hey, you should see me, man, destroy my Hurricane team. Destroy them. I have no tolerance and I have no patience. I am sick of 20 years of shitty football. Do you know Mario Cristobal texted me the other day because he saw a video I posted. He goes, "Brother, you still with us?" And I go, "I'm always with you. But I'm sick of 20 years of shitty football. It's time to win. It's time to win." And when you're close like this, you better have a sense of urgency. The sense of urgency. Okay? You didn't have a sense of urgency in the Super Bowl from your coaching staff. 2 guys out house hunting. 1 guy out house hunting and buying a $10 million spread in Phoenix or Scottsdale, excuse me. Scottsdale. Had no caring whether he won the Super Bowl or not. I don't give a shit what people think. You're house hunting when you're in Arizona and you're the D coordinator going against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. You got everything you deserved. Unfortunately, the fans didn't deserve it. The rest of the team didn't deserve it. That's the sad part of it. Okay? I want to ask you this. Let's do this here when it comes to maybe I should wait because this is going to be a big conversation here. This is going to be a big conversation. So I want more time when it comes to the conversation on this one because I want to show you how obnoxious everyone's being on Prescott. I'm actually getting more respect for him as the day goes on and as the week goes on. I respect men, and I would think Jalen Hurts respects Dak Prescott because that's how he's handling it is how Jalen would handle it. You know how I know that? I saw how he handled it at Alabama. Okay? I saw how people dogged him, doubted him, all of that shit. And he handled himself with respect. You know, when you handle yourself when you're younger like that, and then you handle yourself when you're older like that, that's an innate character thing you have in you. That's something that you can't evaluate on draft day. I think Dak has that same thing. Some of you Eagle fans don't want to hear this. Dak's a quality guy. Dak keeps that thing afloat. He wins in spite of that owner who thinks he's Al Davis. Al Davis won Super Bowls. Al Davis was actually a coach. Al Davis was actually the AFL Coach of the Year. I mean, all of those things. He was actually a position coach in San Diego with the Chargers. That's why Lance Allworth had him induct him into the Hall of Fame. Okay? Great comment here by JM. When all else fails, Dallas is the number 1 topic this week, jackass. And you can't beat them. What are you talking about? Did I miss something with Prescott over the last couple days? So wait a minute. You're trying to tell me your biggest rival in the division that people are taking a piss all over is not a story? And on cutdown day. How about this, JM? Why don't you send over Tone the topics you like to talk about? I'm sure it's got a lot to do with taking a knee and sitting there getting the Howie Roseman knee pads out and walking around the NovaCare Center with my mouth open. I'm probably sure we're there, aren't we? Easy. Sit back, kid. I'll take care of it. Okay? JM, see? You get me going. Hey, JM got my tie. I think JM does that. Just, hey, Tone, I think JM does that just to get my Italian up. It's okay. Jeez, hey, you know what, too, man? I even thought I'd come out and have the Jerome Brown lid on. That didn't do shit. Forget it. I'm never doing that again. That's it. I thought I was being nice. I broke out the Jerome Brown lid. Doesn't matter, right? It absolutely doesn't matter. All right, hey, you know what? I think I will start this. I think I will start this now. This will be a good teaser. Okay? How many people believe, or wait a minute, who do you think has a better season this year? Prescott or Hurts? Jalen's bar. It's kind of been set. How many people believe personally, not team-wise, who will have a better season? Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott? It's funny when I look at these. Okay? It's funny when I look at this. And when you hear what I'm going to say here, then I think you'll get a better understanding where I'm coming from. Joe goes very close. Big D Hurts. We're going to do that here in a second. Hey, I want to tell you guys something that we have coming up next week. We are going to be giving gift certificates away and an opportunity to win them. And we're going to tell you more details about it next week with Hooters. And we're going to give you an opportunity with the 7 locations, especially the King of Prussia ones, where you get an opportunity to win yourself some gift certificates with Hooters and our friends there at Hooters. So we can't wait to tell you. This is going to be probably starting next Tuesday. I think we're going to be doing this. Next Tuesday, we'll start it. So you're going to get a chance to get all kinds of gift certificates, all kinds of great stuff. And we'll give you more details on how that's all going to play out. But we're so proud to be able to tell you this, that it's the 40th anniversary, one of the great anniversaries in restaurant history is what Hooters has done, and the history that they've done since they started with one location in Clearwater. I've been involved with the company from the very beginning, and with all the 7 locations in the Northeast area, you go to northeasthooters.com to find that location nearest you for you to be able to go and experience. And like I said, too, with all the great things that we're going to be doing with the King of Prussia Hooters, I am so excited for you to come out there and have yourself a great time. The iconic Hooter girls are going to be serving you. Tuesdays, you buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless free. Wing Wednesdays, one of the 40-year anniversary great traditions that we have. 1983, the year the place was founded. Kids eat free on Saturdays. NortheastHooters.com. Go online, find one of the locations nearest you. And also, don't forget, 6 items, $6. Simple as that. All you have to do is go online, find out the location nearest you. The King of Prussia is one we're going to be doing a lot of events at. And when you go to Hooters, do me a favor. You make sure you tell them Big Sil sent you.